The more luxurious, the more lonely. She waited for him at a famous but unfamiliar Lavazza. He likes busy places as much as he likes field spaces. He likes the smell of coffee and fancy shops, but chooses only pure water or tea. At times he is full of contradictions and elusive, sitting opposite but extremely distant in meetings between strange bars. He is ready to appear with her, but always pretends to not care. The affectionate words he spoke to her privately and the emails complaining to her, he sent to all his friends who knew the two of them. He invited her to have breakfast at the weekend, for afternoon tea at the weekend, to go swimming Wednesday night, but he pretended to be polite, invited other people to come with him or acted like she was the one who invited him. He was ready to go in the rain under an umbrella for her along the way, but immediately turned back quickly if she caught a glimpse of someone she knew. Sometimes online, she sees his nick shining on Yahoo, but feels very lonely inside. So lonely that she didn't dare to greet each other over the same Wi-Fi signals. Only she kept his secret, and he often pretended to accidentally tell her secret to his colleagues, as if he wanted to clarify. Why do you have to take care of her so often, as a godfather? But many coffee shops abroad know that the perfume he gave her is real, with full packaging stamped with the company's guarantee, along with an invoice of origin. Because he always chooses for her a bottle of perfume every time he works abroad. He said at the airport, waiting is pointless, and while waiting, I think of you, the joy every time you receive another bottle of your favorite perfume. Fake perfumes are so rampant that she has never bought any bottles in Vietnam. He also always makes perfumes a mystery. It was the words he never said, the futures he never promised, the secret caresses, and the public reproaches. He makes each perfume bottle a mark of time. Ralph is the rainy season he flies to Japan, the square bottle is strong. The Christmas holiday was packed with conference days, so he chose the slender Gucci Envy Me as pink as the petals of a flower. In the dry season, accompanying the leader of the ministry to the Philippines, he gave Tresor a gift. Every time he goes to the US, he buys Elizabeth Arden or CK. She has had 4 or 5 bottles of CK for the past 3 years. Perfume is the only thing I promise you. Go to any country, I'll buy you a perfume there. Trip after trip, year after year. The more her perfume collection, the more sad she is. That means he travels more, which means he hasn't made her any newer promises. He is fond of literature, music, sensibility, and spontaneity. Every word is easy to hear. She is so clumsy that all love lies silently in the drawer of her heart. She just told herself, I can wait like this forever, until I'm old, until I'm 50 years old, until true love comes, not just perfume. She calculates that she has 20 years to wait for happiness, if it is true that one day happiness will come, even though it is not promised like perfume. Lavazza is famous for its beauty ads that cover only the body with a cup and a teaspoon. She sat and waited until evening. He missed an appointment without notice. In the place where he was supposed to be sitting was an old woman of about 70, ugly and talkative, with a constant monologue. She constantly monologues about herself, about loneliness without a husband, about when she was young and life now is old. She shivered, thinking perfume would make her an old woman like this. Every year a few bottles of perfume are given as promised. Even in the next 20 years, he will still keep his promise. The amount of money to buy perfume will only be a few $1,000s, but how many years will it be in exchange for her? She doubts happiness may not come the way she hoped, even though she spends all her best to wait. If perfume is the messenger of that happiness, it may betray her. When given perfume, women expect more. But 3 years on, perfume is merely a gift. For the first time in years, she left Lavazza without a cent. Because the human heart is paper. I would like to be told a story. An old story has it that there was a famous Taoist with miraculous powers. While traveling in the mountains, he saw a woman kneeling by a new grave, crying and fanning. Surprised, the other Taoist came to ask about the situation. Just learned that the person in the grave is the young woman's recently deceased husband. The young woman here to fan the grave to dry quickly. The Taoist was touched by the iron love of his young wife, just allowed to help him. the grave was as dry as the old graves for many years. It turned out that before his death, the other husband thought that his wife had to wait 3 years for the grave to dry completely before she could remarry. The grave dries too quickly. The young woman happily thanked the Taoist to go home, where her new lover was waiting. The ascetic went home and told the story to his wife. The Taoist's wife mocked the other woman for being so mean. After a while, suddenly the Taoist fell ill, became bedridden, and died. Before you close your eyes, the moon will tell you to keep the coffin for 7 or 79 days, and then bury it. The wife cried and obeyed the will. One day, a man claiming to be a student asked to stay and mourn the Taoist priest. The student's face is handsome and handsome. Then, just 3 days later, the Taoist wife slept with the student. Suddenly 7 days later, the student fell ill. The disease is getting worse. I just told the Taoist wife that I have a serious illness, only eating human brains can be cured. The wife immediately took a hammer, opened the lid of the coffin to break the head of the corpse to get the brain to feed the mistress. Unexpectedly, as soon as the coffin lid was opened, the Taoist woke up. When the young woman turned around, the young man had already disappeared. New or good, it was due to the clone magic of the skilled Taoist. The wife was so embarrassed that she committed suicide. That Taoist was Trang Chu, also known as Chuang Tzu, also a sage of our Orient. That story, the story of teacher Trang Chu's wife, has been handed down for nearly 2,000 years to ridicule the so-called women's heart. Today, there is a story that a certain party member, after completed the plan, 2 children, hid his wife to be sterilized. The wife still wants to have more children for fun, so she actively tries but never sees results. The husband still hides from his wife, even because the estate does not affect his ability to be a man, he still pretends to actively help his wife. Then, one day, the wife happily announced that the efforts of the couple had good results. She was 3 months pregnant. Shocked, but the husband still calms down to go retest. The result of his chart is 0%, the minor surgery of maternity was completely successful. Well, the story today is also talking about the human heart. Another person set up a fake email, let themselves chat and try the husband that they love so much. Or take her beautiful girlfriend to test her husband, until her husband is cold to her because her mind has been wholeheartedly devoted to her soulmate in the other virtual world. Then she takes it on her own, suffering in herself when the husband is not the same before and after. It is impossible to know how many more ironic stories there are to be enough for us to understand that people's hearts are paper, not stone, and gold. It's already paper, but why do we still think it's like gold to be tested on fire? Time to burn and then disappointed again, black silver heart? Why don't we understand that? Because it is paper. What we need and should do is that we have to cherish and protect each other to avoid the sun and rain of life. Why don't we understand that? Because it's paper, beauty and ugliness are drawn by our own hands, goodness is written by our own hands, and hatred is also due to our pen. I don't think that Master Trang Chu's way of doing things is good, nor do I think that the other party member is not at fault. Nor am I advocating today's sisters' experimentation with email and other means. Time passes, but people's hearts are still the same, it's still paper, but stone also wears away, gold also fades, let alone paper. People, being the same person, sometimes benevolence is worth it. Love, sometimes so harsh? That's because everyone has 2 sides, good and bad, black and white mixed. As people who swear by the sea to each other, commit to stick together to build their home, I think what should be done is to bring a good face to each other. Treat each other with white faces, husband and wife respect each other like new, husband and wife respect each other like when they were new. That is the universal design throughout, but if we keep bringing the wrong side to each other, bringing the bad to each other, then we'll have the same dream, but the same dream, the gentle people treat each other like thieves. That's close to breaking. Very. If you still love each other,
แต่
don't
มัน
try
ไม่
each
มี
other.
บ้านเนี้ยไม่มี
And please understand,
ไอ้ที่ไป
the
ซื้อที่โช
human
คชัย
heart
4
is
ไม่มี
paper.
ต้องไปหาที่อื่น
Who is not moved by a gesture of kindness? Who is insensitive to a
อยากได้แบบ
compliment?
เรียบๆ
Who has been away for a long time without any desire? Isn't my heart the same? So that, no matter how much you cherish, it's not enough. A little doubt was enough.